Eggers, Mark Jones from Seminole County.
Hi, Mark. We'll get an update from Julie and Fred here, and then we'll give you an opportunity, sir.
Julie McChrystal, Volusia County Environmental Management. This case was last seen on September 20th, 2023. Why is it not going? There we go.
Bless you.
Just going to breeze through these first few slides. They're just a recapturing. These are pictures from our most recent site visit on October 11th, 2023. So on March 15th, 2023, there was an order of noncompliance issued. On September 20th, the first amended order of noncompliance was issued. On October 10th, we had a pre-application meeting with staff. Followed that the following day with a site visit by environmental, zoning, and building staff. The waterfront area was still inundated, and we were unable to visit the boathouse/accessory structure. On 1/16, affidavit of noncompliance was issued. Permit application 2023-0801-026 for the boathouse accessory structure was denied by environmental permitting for not meeting wetland ordinance requirements as they pertain to avoidance and minimization of wetland buffer impacts. Applicant will receive the letter of denial by certified mail.
So
This is a copy of the order of noncompliance. First amended order of noncompliance. Affidavit of noncompliance. Staff is recommending an order imposing fine lien of $100 per day with a cap of $84,500 to begin on February 22nd, 2024.
Good morning. Fred Eastwood, Volusia County Code. This is the same property that Julie has from the property appraiser's website. Background, factual background is pretty well similar to what Julie had. It's the affidavit of noncompliance, order of noncompliance, first amended order. This is a screenshot of additional information that was requested.
Okay.
For plans review. This is an affidavit for drainage control. Again, staff is recommending imposing a fine of $100 per day with a cap of $84,450 to begin on February 22nd, 2024.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Does Mark?
No, I'll wait for you guys.
Mark, do you have possession of these certificates of noncompliance?
This is the first I've heard of it. I mean,
Okay.
you see the date was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to respond.
Do you
to it
have
at this
copies? Or can make
Order of
copies?
noncompliance, I do not, just the one that's in there.
time.
In the view? Okay.
I'm sure we can get them to him today.
Okay.
For staff.
Go ahead.
What's the zoning on the property?
Zoning is RC, I believe.
It is.
Resource corridor, yeah.
Resource corridor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's within the natural resource management.
What's the buffer on the
50 feet.
50 feet on the resource corridor? And this structure, is it a permanent structure or is it a boathouse? In other words, a metal building
I believe it was ruled that it's a combination hybrid boathouse and accessory structure.
But it's not
We
a
had-
permanent structure.
We had pictures.
Looks,
Yeah.
But that's why I'm asking, because it looked like not a permanent structure.
I'm not a building
Yeah.
It looked
official, so.
It looked permanent to me. It looked like it was on piles.
May I respond?
Or poles.
Yeah, and you're new to the board. We've been dealing with this for a couple of years. This is an existing structure. Well, there was previously a structure there for 50-plus years, and a hurricane knocked it down, and it was rebuilt through that time frame. So it's our position that it was a rebuild of an existing structure. We tried to classify it as a boathouse. We worked with staff. The county attorney at one point had said, we met with him shortly after our September meeting, and he said, yeah, it's a boathouse. He changed his position after talking to staff. In the timeline, there wasn't, may I go ahead, or do you?
Yeah, please. Can you adjust the slide to go back to the timeline so we can follow along with Mark?
Yeah. What I want to impress upon this board is that we have worked diligently and in good faith with staff to try to get all of this into compliance. And what I'm confused about is you're asking to issue a fine on two different violations, one for wetland issues and one for building issues. And we've made significant progress on the building issues. I think Julie would agree with us on that, and the building department would agree with us on this. We've applied for and received one permit for one of the building structures. We have one that is pending. It's under review. We have another one after the site visit on October 11th that was deemed it wasn't necessary because it was an existing structure. It was before this property was agricultural, and it was a building that was built at a time when no permit was needed. So they've let that one go. And then there's another structure that we would love to tear it down, but we can't because it's in the wetland buffer, and we're waiting for our wetland permit, which we just got in the last week to do it. So it's like one step forward, two steps back. We are working towards compliance and have done quite a bit since we were here in September. The thing that's missing from the timeline here is I met on November 1st. I met with Councilman Danny Robbins. I met with the Director of Resource Management, Clay Irvin, I believe was his name, and the same county attorney, Paolo Soria. And after a lengthy back and forth, can't do it, maybe, can't do it, maybe, I believe we're on a path to compliance for this boathouse. I'm going to continue to call it a boathouse. It's got a nickname of the Love Shack. But the biggest hurdle they gave us was that this structure was on the next door neighbor's property. Mm-hmm. We came back and cut and trimmed the property so it's no longer on the neighbor's property. We were represented that if we were to do that, it could put us in a position to go for a variance on the structure. Again, I don't think these address the wetland issues that I'm hearing about today for the first time. But as far as getting on a path to compliance, we're working on it. Mr. Ashley over here met with us on October 12th, I believe it was, and he looked me square in the eyes and said, we're not going to make you tear this thing down. We're going to help you get on a path to compliance. And I've been working pretty diligently to do that. So one of the other hurdles that came out of that meeting is that this boathouse had the appearance of a dwelling where someone could live in because it had AC units on it. AC units have been ripped off, and we're pushing this thing to be more of a storage closet on top of a dock. So it looks like we're going to probably on the path to get this thing approved as a dock that's there. So we are working on it. The imposing of fines on this thing, daily fines on this thing, is unreasonable and not equitable.
Okay, Mark. And would you please name and address for the record? You said Seminole County, but
Man, I just,
okay. We just got to have that for the record.
yeah, I got a post office box is all I have. It's a P.O. Box 196336, Winter Springs, Florida, 32719.
Okay, Mark. And last name?
Jones.
Jones. Okay. I'm sorry you said that. Let's handle the first one. So Scott is the you think the structure is towards in a direction of compliance, and does it need a variation?
It does need a variance if it's allowed to stay. The structure is in the waterfront setback. It's also in a side yard setback. It's in the property, and just for the record, Scott Ashley, Senior Zoning Manager. This is a unique property in that it is a flag lot, if you will, where the flag extends from the main body of the property to the river. So they have a very narrow strip at the river. This structure covers nearly the entire width of that strip, which is probably, I'm going to guesstimate somewhere between 25 to 28 feet in width. Mm-hmm. The structure extends in and over the water with a deck. and then it had a conditioned living area, if you will. It's not a dwelling, but it does have the manner of being a conditioned space, so it could be considered some type of building. It's not a boathouse as we define by code, and it was constructed and replaced an existing building, but it is bigger and longer, I would say. So right now, it is pretty much a zero setback, or maybe into the setback for the waterfront, which we don't do negative setbacks for structures. So it's kind of been a weird how to address this type of structure in addition to the wetland-related issues.
And so you advise the applicant to seek a variance from?
Well, in order to try to maintain the structure, for us to be able to sign off on a building permit, it's going to have to address the setbacks.
Yeah.
And what are we going to call it? Because it is a accessory structure, and then there's a large deck over that extends into the water. And it's not like your traditional, it's not what we consider a dock based on what it physically looks like. And it was conditioned space. This is new that I heard that I guess they removed it, so it's not conditioned space, but it is an accessory structure nonetheless. And it does have to meet a waterfront setback of 75 feet and side yard setbacks of 50 feet. And obviously, that's 100 feet in width, and they don't have 100 feet in width. So for it to remain, some form of variance would be necessary through the planning division.
And I would offer it's multiple variances.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
size, it's height, it's all these things. But the point I
Right.
want to make to this board is at this point, it's not impossible, right? We can apply for a variance, that variance will be reviewed, and it could be approved. To
Right.
impose a fine at this point is not equitable.
Okay. Regarding the wetlands, is it because the wetland restoration doesn't have, like, they didn't have a planting plan to bring some of this back?
Two parts. They have worked diligently with
Little closer.
the upper.
Thank
They
you,
have worked
Julie.
diligently with the upper portion of the parcel with the buildings. I've been working a lot with them to get that application in. They're working on a replanting plan.
Okay.
So there's kind of two separate issues here. The upland portion, they are diligently working on. It's the portion with the Love Shack that this permit specifically referenced, that was denied, referenced the Love Shack.
Is there, but there's something they could do to get a permit approved?
Keith Abramson, County Forester. I just want to state that we've been consistent with the Love Shack portion of this violation since the very beginning. We don't support and have never supported the expansion of this structure. We've said multiple times to reduce it to the original structure, and then you may have to seek your variances, and that could be something that we could support. But the structure as it exists now is something that we couldn't support, and why we have issued our denial.
Okay.
So I've got a,
Thank you, Keith.
going back into some old experience over the years. When one has a non-conforming use, one can continue the non-conforming use as long as the non-conforming use is not expanded. Is that the basis of your position?
Yes.
Okay.
But I just want to comment that the footprint has not changed. In fact, it's smaller than it used to be.
That really, what that comes up to is what you've been trying to do. You have to go back before there were any records, provide records that show you had it, and prove that it was there in that configuration before that time. All that happens at the staff level, at the data level, at what you guys do. And I'm a civil engineer, and I've dealt with these kind of things, so I know what you're up against. And it sounds to me like you have one path, which is the variance. And so you have an opportunity to pursue that. That's going to be a time frame. The other issue with the wetlands is going to be the size of that building and the expansion of that building, and it sounds like that's going to be a tough one for you to demonstrate, but that's not for us to decide. What we're looking at is you've got a violation, you've got some time going, and what are we gonna do to give you time to, try to fix the issue, that's all.
And that's what I'm here for today,
Yeah,
is
I'm-
to seek
I'm
additional
on your
time.
side with that.
Staff would support, whatever the board is, a timeframe that you guys choose.
Okay.
But, again, we've got evidence that it has been enlarged, and you've already heard that, and that's already been determined. It's in non-compliance. Portions of this structure are across the property line according to the survey. You can't get a negative variance. So there are issues, and they're significant issues. He has, once they receive the denial, they'll have 30 days to appeal to the DRC. They can work through that process. Maybe something like, a total of 90 days is appropriate, because that could get them to DRC. They could hear the appeal. I can't imagine that the DRC would find in their favor, but that's
The
not, I
DRC
can't.
can't do anything until, it doesn't have to go to PLDRC for variance?
Well, they can appeal the denial of the wetland alteration permit to the
Okay.
DRC.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, just respond to some of the comments. Like Keith had indicated, the building may not have exceeded the total square footage of the original. We don't have exact numbers. But certainly the overall structure is larger than what was previously there, because there is a large front and rear deck area that were added to it. And it is,
We do actually have square footage numbers
Okay.
from a report from the Department of Environmental Protection.
okay, well then, addresses that.
But what I think,
But it goes further into the water, and that's part of the issue too, is how do we address the setback scenario? Because
okay,
I've got an accessory structure that doesn't fit the, the round hole we're trying to shove it into, and it's a mixture. It's an overall structure. It's not a true boat dock or a boat house, and we can't have. Previously, the concern was boat houses can't consist of a living area, and by having conditioned space, that was a problem. So.
okay. So, thank you, Scott, thank you, Keith. Just for Gary's sake, this is a hearing to impose fine, and this has all been very beneficial for us to determine, should we begin the fine February 22nd, which is the day after our next meeting, or should we give them more time and give an amended order like we've done in those other cases here? It's really getting to the same result. Either a fine begins to toll, and then they bring it into compliance, and then they could ask for a reduction in that fine once it's in compliance, or kick this out and we kind of have this discussion again, how many ever months from now, and determine, okay, are they making progress? Did they get that variance? Sorry. So that's a discussion we're having. We're not really supposed to. We're not to hear new evidence. This is a hearing to post fine. Should we begin it on February 22nd, or do a second amended order for more time? Mark?
As a board sitting to impose a fine, it's your duty to consider the steps that have been taken
Absolutely.
by the person. So I just wanna
Absolutely. This
put
is
that
a
out there.
progress update.
Right, and we have taken significant steps to get into compliance.
So where are you at with applying for the variance to the DRC and the variance for the PLDRC?
He just got the order yesterday. He hadn't even seen it.
Yeah, man,
He
I'm
can't
pushing the
appeal that.
gas pedal as hard as I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that,
Well, I
for
mean,
me, that's
uh,
a reason to kick it out a while, because you haven't had a chance to respond to it. I'm going to go back to what Keith said, and he said about 90 days seemed like a reasonable time for you to appeal this, to look at it, see what you're going to do, get your stuff together and go to DRC. And then further, it's another path, is going to be going the variance route. And you still have some work to do on the variance, because the issue regarding this expansion of the building is going to have to be resolved before that, I would believe, or you're going to be not in a good position.
I don't disagree.
But that's just an opinion.
But so it's
And you
clear,
know how
before
they
I could
are.
get into
Everybody's
the
got-
variance process, I had to get the structure off of the neighboring property, which we
Okay.
have done. And one of
Well,
the
I'm
other
ready to
issues
make
with
a
a
motion
lot
to
of this
give you
stuff
the 90
is,
days, if that's okay, and
I-
then we can just move on. How's that?
We're agreeable to that.
Because you got a lot of work to do. What's 90 days down the road anyway? 30, 60, 90. That's April 17th. Is that okay with everybody?
I do have
I
one
mean, not,
question.
ideal, but, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
That's all right, I was waiting until you're
Okay.
finished. Yeah, I do have just one question, though. When a fine is requested, to me, that is being requested because the respondent hasn't been
Responsive.
encouraged enough to resolve the problems in a timely manner. So staff has asked for that fine. Having heard what the respondent has just said, do you still feel that that fine is appropriate? Or differently, asking it a little different way, I guess, is the respondent diligently and aggressively working to resolve the problems, or do you feel that you're getting sandbagged?
Portions of it, yes, they are diligently working on the upland portion. I think they've kind of been a little bit, tone deaf. Well, I think
Encouragement.
if you push it out, another 90 days, that will ensure that they get their work done.
Yeah, I think the fine is appropriate, because that's definitely pressure, but the time frame is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm
We're even
grant
acceptable to.
this time, and your time's running out. Okay? Just to be blunt.
Okay, I can go with Pete.
Okay. Got anything
Oh,
to
you
add?
want to make that motion?
Sure. I move in case, make sure I go on the right one.
On page 10. Yep.
Bottom page 10. KCEB 2022-285 and 2023013, that we issue a second amended order of compliance, non-compliance, setting 4/17/24 as hearing to impose fine.
Moved by Pete,
Second.
second by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. And then, Mr. Jones, did you receive copies of from yesterday?
No, not yet. They haven't been sent yet.
Oh,
I'll get it.
oh, but we have them for you to leave with.
No, that's convenient. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time, folks.
Okay, we're ready for the closed captioning. So let's go back to page 8 for Sean Hughes, 1373 Beacon Drive, Daytona Beach, CEB 2021380 and CEB 2021381. So Rick, you may recall, but for Gary, we're going to use closed captioning for a hearing impaired respondent. And so we'll have to take pauses and make sure that the closed captioning is caught up.
It's going to appear on that screen.
Okay, it's going to be up. Okay. And look at it go.
Good morning, Peter Henson, Volusia County Code Compliance. Last time we were here, the property owner was issued a Sixth Amendment order of non-compliance to get the windows and doors replaced. That permit finaled this morning as inspections passed. At this time, staff will recommend a Seventh Amendment order of non-compliance for the purposes of the property owner to gain access, to obtain the interior renovation permit. That's the next step. I did speak with him, Mr. Hughes, briefly this morning, and he is going to replace or fill in the spot where the damage to the damaged windowsill. He's going to fill that spot in, and he's going to repair the soffit and fascia on the building. He has more information to give you guys today and to ask for recommendations.
Peter, regarding the windows, is that just for the first case, or is that sort of pertinent to the second as well?
It's
of
pertinent to
having
the-
weather-tight building.
Yeah, pertinent to the second case, because that was the unmaintained, a part of the unmaintained structure. He had two windows that were broken. Mr. Hughes did obtain the permit, as you see on screen, and the permit did final this morning as inspectors finished inspections.
But there's other permits
Yes,
to cure
Yes,
both cases.
yes, the inside. Now, the interior renovation permit is going to take care of both cases, the VN1 and VN2, as during the VN1, we saw that it was work being performed without permits, and also that interior renovation will cure and get the inside of all 4 units to living standards.
All right. Thank you, Peter.
What's the date for Seventh Amendment order?
Yeah, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation was for May, because when it comes to interior renovation permits, he's going to have to include the full scope of work, and that's going to take some time.
Any other questions for Peter? Sean, do you have anything to add?
Yes, excuse me, I'm a little disheveled. I'm trying to get into oral surgeon.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, Peter's giving you till May.
okay, well, I just honestly kind of wanted to say what he said. Today, I have a contractor, and working with him, we pulled the permit, and, it passed today, and my next will be the interior renovation permit I'll pull. And today I'll cure the window seal, reform correctly, and there's just a little bit of soffit that is still yet missing. It'll be put back perfectly. The roofer that did my roof all new and all my mansard roof new, he pulled that down and never put it back right. I'll have it cured. What I want to please ask is my contractor, especially, all on me about. I need electric to continue. What do I need to do? I'm happy to comply with you guys in any way, but I need power.
So that you'll have to work with your contractor will have to work with the building inspector on at what point they can have the power, be able to have power on site. That's a detail.
Would that be in the interior?
Just if you're replacing,
Well, I'm not replacing.
Yeah.
So I'd have an electrician. So if I have, my licensed electrician come in and look it over and certify it for you guys, is that okay? Or
I believe, and Kerry?
Mr. Chair, Kerry Lusinger, Chief Building Official, we're going to need to evaluate the status of the electrical system before we would authorize it to be turned back on.
So if I had, so if I had a licensed electrician to go all throughout,
We would need to be there as well.
okay, what step do I need to do this? I
You-
want to
you
get
can
on this
follow
right away.
Follow up with us at a later time, so we're not wasting time here.
Okay, because I just don't know how to move forward with that.
Mhm.
And,
I'll make sure you have my card.
okay, thank you.
Good question. Peter, your screen shows April.
Yeah, I'll change that date.
We talked May.
Yes, I'll change that date.
May is okay?
Yes, May is
Okay,
okay.
you don't have to change the date. We just need to make sure our motion is accurate. Okay?
Thank you, gentlemen.
We need another motion maker.
Move to
Oh, he's
accept
back.
staff's recommendation with the slide being altered to be May what?
15th.
May 15. Thank you.
Second.
All right, moved by Rick, seconded by Pete. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. So till May.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But-
Thank you, gentlemen.
Get with Carrie regarding electricity.
Excuse
you.
me, Mr. Chair. I just want to make an announcement that this will end our closed captioning request
Excellent.
for AI media.
Thank you, Ramona. Next, someone from Las Brisas?
We are temporarily deprived of quorum, though, so let's wait until we
Oh,
quorum
good
again.
point. I just can't take any action during that. So let's go ahead with the next case. I know Pete can hear the audio if he hasn't left the building, I'm sure he has not. So let's see here. Brandon James. So I'm on the top of page 12. Sasha and Nero, Katie Nicole Urban. This is hearing to oppose fine regarding a property at, No Street in New Smyrna Beach. Parcels 723, and there's 6 zeros and then 890, CB 2023031. I have a gentleman standing here. Name and address, please, sir.
Sasha Urban, I'm at 139 Longwood Drive, Ormond Beach.
All right, thank you, Sasha. We're going to have Danielle give us an update, and we'll give you an opportunity, sir.
Danielle Gonzalez, Environmental